This is Cthulhu Dark, the Secret of Castronegro 2024 edition. This is the seventh, I believe, time I have run this. I always run it around Halloween time, and I'm excited to have a new crop of players for 2024. Let's go around and introduce ourselves. When I call on you, please say your name, your pronouns, and anything else you would like people watching the video to know about you. I'll start though. My name is Jason. I use he, they. I am a publisher of role playing games, including Brindlewood Bay and The Between, which might still be crowdfunding on BackerKit by the time this goes up. We don't know. But I'm also a podcaster and I love role playing games. Let's go over to Rob.
Hey, I'm Rob, he, him. I'm just a huge fan of Jason's games in particular and role-playing games in general, and very excited about The Between. This is the second time I've played Castronegro for Halloween, but I don't know enough about it to be doing anything approaching cheating, so we should be fine.
Fantastic. Mike.
Hi, Mike Martins, he, him, and I am a longish time freelance contributor to Gauntlet Games, Trophy and Public Access, and Silt Versus. There's something coming out at some point, and then developing Planet Raygun, a fun space heist version of the Car from Brindlewood system, along with, won an Emmy Award for the Sailing of Kloss Manor. So as you shift your mood from Halloween horror to Christmas horror, there's an option for you.
Fantastic. And let's go to Bran.
Hey, I'm Bran. I use any pronouns, they, them is a good default. The more you mix it up, the cooler I feel. I am a relative newcomer to the Gauntlet, but I've been helping out with the crowdfunder for the Between, and I've got some other stuff I'm working on. I've also made a couple of solo journaling games that you can find on my itch page.
Fabulous. Thank you. And finally, Wes.
Hi there. My name is Wes Franks. My pronouns are they, them. I have written various things for various games across the Gauntlet sphere in various states, whether they're unreleased or third party or what have you. And I wrote Unsinkable. And I'm so glad to see you 90 years from now. The backer train has probably finally ended after 90 years. So I'm glad you made it on the other side. Yeah, and I'm excited to finally play. I got invited to play last year, but I was in the process of moving my entire life to Washington, D.C. So now I am coming to you live from sunny Los Angeles.
Fantastic. And for people keeping track at home, we currently have 369 on the backer train. Nice. Okay, so let's get into this. I'm going to start with CATS. CATS is an acronym that stands for Concept, Aim, Tone, and Subject Matter. The purpose of CATS is to establish some basic expectations for what we're going to be doing over the course of the next 3 days. And so we'll start with the concept. Cthulhu Dark, a game, is by Graham Walmsley. It is an extremely rules-light Lovecraftian horror game. The rules literally fit on like a note card. And so we'll be learning as we play, and that's a very fast process. But what's great about it is because it's such a light touch, you can actually, it gives you a lot of space in the role play, I find. You are not limited by, you're not limited by numbers and stuff. You're not limited by like how many squares can your character move and shit like that. Like it's really just like focusing on your character and kind of getting into the Lovecraftian madness of it all, right? It's also a really fun game for me because it's such a light touch. I often use it to play test setting elements for my games, so I can try out like characters and places and locations and see if in some other context to see if they're fun, and then translate them to my games, and so I use Cthulhu Dark for that a lot. This particular module we're running is called The Secret of Castronegro. It is from the Cthulhu Companion for Call of Cthulhu from, I don't know, the early 80s. It's a really, really old module. It's my absolute favorite module of all modules ever written. I love it, and you can learn more about it on my podcast, Fear of a Black Dragon, where Tom and I discussed it at length. But I don't want to say too much about it because this is it's a mystery and there are things to be revealed and secrets. But essentially, it's sort of like, it's basically like Lovecraft stuff in New Mexico. That's the whole idea. Our aim for today is to make our characters, introduce them, and then begin playing a little bit and kind of get them sorted in the setting, get them started. And then in the next 2 sessions, we will keep playing. At the end of each session, we'll do a little debrief. The tone of the game is, well, actually, let me go back to AIM. Everybody here is probably really accustomed to my mystery horror games, where the clues are abstract and you kind of just use them to come up with your own theory. That's not what this is. There are things to be found in specific places in this module, and there's a specific quote unquote answer to everything. So you will be doing like investigating, and there is a right and wrong answer to things. That said, I'm a really flexible GM, and so if I see the story going in a particular way or things are kind of happening a certain way, I'll make adjustments on the fly as needed. But just know that this is not the kind of thing where you are meant to be like solving a question, you are a problem, or like answering a question. You are basically just trying to get to the end. That's essentially the whole point of Cthulhu Dark, right? So, okay, now that's it. The tone, this is a very dark module. It does have some slightly lighter elements, especially the way I play some of the NPCs, but it is generally pretty dark, I would say. Subject matter. The only thing I can think of in terms of subject matter that might come up, well, I hate to say it because I think it'll kind of spoil it, but the biggest one is probably just going to be like, it's very like suggestive of like incest stuff going on in this little town. So if that's a thing, we can line and veil that. It's easy to take out. Otherwise, it's just lots of gross shit. We'll have the X card on the table. If something happens in the game that you find to be uncomfortable in an unfun way, you can just say X card or type it in the chat and we'll change whatever it is. We'll do roaming lines and veils. We don't have to do any like lines and veils to start, but if something looks like it's going to come up, we can line it or veil it then at that time. And then kind of proceed that way. I will just straight up though put sexual violence behind a line. I just never like to have that in games. I don't think it's going to come up, but it won't. Let's see what else. I think that's it for cats. Do you all have any questions about cats? Okay. In that case, let's make characters. Now, before we make characters, I'm going to sort of introduce the character creation process, and there's a little bit of some stuff you have to know before we dive into it. The actual character creation we'll pause the recording for, but I do want to say this part on the recording. So character creation in Cthulhu Dark is very simple. It's essentially a name and an occupation, and that's it. You don't need to know anything else for your character. If you know what they look like, that helps. But basically, name and occupation. Now, for this particular scenario, I need 4 characters that fit into certain archetypes, and I'll tell you what those are now. Of the 4 characters, one of you must be in academia. It doesn't matter what kind of academia, you just need to be in academia. One of you must be a local from New Mexico. Your job is irrelevant. You can be whatever occupation you want, but you just have to be from New Mexico. In particular, a town called Silver City, which is where the game starts. The third person must be traveling from across the country, from Boston, looking for their missing husband or boyfriend. And then the fourth person has to be specifically an occult or paranormal researcher. So the academic, I would prefer that academic character to not be an occult and paranormal researcher. I just want this fourth person to be the occult or paranormal researcher. So that's pretty wide open. They could be like, it could be like something like you're just an enthusiast, or you could be like an actual occult academic, or you could be just a tarot card reader who runs a table for, $2 a reading or whatever, right? But you just have to have some kind of interest in that stuff. So at the start, I want to just hear which of those four broad roles people are interested in, so we can get them assigned before we pause.
Maybe I missed this. What's the year? Well, like, what's the period
We're in
that
the
we're
1920s. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah. And no one will have a car. That's important. So,
I'm open to anything. As I was ideating, it feels like I probably like fit towards academia or the occult paranormal, that sort of like researching thing, at least with what I was sketching up, but I'm open for anything. It'll work.
I was leaning towards local or academia. It's probably my top two choices: local, academia.
I would say my top two are traveling from Boston looking for husband slash boyfriend, or the occult or paranormal researcher.
Okay, and I can fit in with. I was leaning toward academia or occult. So yeah, I'll pick up whatever everyone else doesn't. Sounds good.
so then maybe it sounds like Wes, if you want to be the local,
Mm-hmm.
and then Bran, if you want to be the out of towner, and
Yeah.
then Rob, if you want to be the the academic, and then Mike, the occult. Is that good?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, fantastic. So that's great. We're going to make characters. Um, Character creation is really simple. Like I said, name and occupation, and any other little tiny details you want, you can certainly add in there. And I'm pulling up a die roller right now because we will have to get some secret information going. So let me pull up the die roller. For now, though, go ahead and make your characters. I'm going to step away for a second, and we'll come back and see who we've got.
Is there anything more?
Okay, so let's meet these four characters. I will tell you that at the start of the story, these characters do not know each other. They are going to end up in the same place, but they don't know each other and they don't have the same information. And you're going to learn a lot of things about what's going on, which you are free to share or withhold with the group as you wish. But right now, just at a basic level, I'm going to go around the table, meet these characters by name, occupation, and that's kind of it. If you want to tell me what they look like, that would also be helpful, and it'd be helpful for viewers as well. So we'll go in the order of the sheet. Let's talk to Rob about your character. Who is it?
My character is Emmett Van Poel.
Emmett Van Poel.
Emmett is a doctorate student of theology.
Oh, okay, great.
At a
Younger,
university.
older?
I think like early 30s.
Okay, great. Like grad student, like
Yeah,
or
exactly.
is
Yeah.
he a grad student, or is he actually a professor?
He's reading for his PhD, I would
Okay,
say.
got it. All right, fantastic. Love that. Okay, Mike, tell us about your character.
My character is Dr. Irene Molari. She is a dentist who believes that the mouth is a portal to the unknown, and so has a lot of like occult obsessions that have to deal with teeth and mouths and all of that kind of thing, because that's the kind of horror I'm going to lean into today.
Not weird at all. I love it. Thank you. Everything froze up for me for a second. Okay, there we go. No, I love it. That's great. Okay, let's go to Wes.
Yeah, I am playing Mr. Pontius Whitehill. who was a local to New Mexico of the Silver City White Hills. That is actually, I think, the first sheriff of the town was White Hill, and so I was like, what better than to have a family descended from that? Um, and this guy is an entrepreneur. He's a businessman, always looking for business opportunities in his hometown of Silver City. There's people passing through all the time. Come on through. We got silver mines out here. And if you could imagine Emilio Estevez from Young Guns, like he is that kind of young, like he's like, I'm a businessman, but he's got like shaggy blonde hair that he wears under a bowler cap and like very nice like Los Angeles 20s suits that look kind of raggedy because he lives in the middle of the desert and is always trying to look for business opportunities and to take people wherever they need to go in the local area.
Love it. That's great. I like that a lot, actually. Fantastic. And finally, Bren.
Yeah, I'll be playing Charlotte Sullivan. You can call her Charlie. And Charlie is a shoemaker from Boston looking for her boyfriend. Uh, she is like probably mid to late 20s and like dresses very smart, is kind of like as butch as you could get without being noticed.
I love it. Fantastic. Based off everything you've told me about your characters up to this point, I'm going to tell you how many dice you're going to roll for your initial investigation. These characters all start in Silver City, New Mexico in the 1920s, and you don't know what, you as players don't know what they're doing yet. I'll tell you on break. But you're all looking into something, and I'm going to share some information with you after I see what you roll. Now, the way this game works is we are just looking for degrees of success. Generally speaking, you cannot fail a die roll. There is a way you can, but we'll talk about that later. For in general, all die rolls succeed. It's just a matter of degree. So if you roll a 1, you learn a little bit if you're investigating something, or if you're trying to accomplish something, physical or like overcome an obstacle, you just barely get over that obstacle, right? And there might be some further complication because you just barely got over it. If you roll a 6 or a 5, actually 5 is the best number. If you roll 5, then you learn like the most stuff, or you absolutely sail over that obstacle, right? If you ever get a 6, you there's a danger of you glimpsing into things that mortals are not meant to glimpse, and that might cause you to break a little bit in your mind. So that's sort of the way that goes. Based off what I know about your characters, your first die roll, Emmett Van Poel, is going to be 1 die. I have put a die roller link in the chat. Just do a risk with 1 dark, or 1 light rather.
A 4.
A 4, pretty good. Irene, you're going to be rolling 2. And we're looking for the highest. That's you, Mike.
Sorry.
You're going to be rolling 2, and we're looking for the highest.
6 is the highest.
Oh, nice. Okay, good. Pontius, you are also going to be rolling 2.
4.
4, solid. And Charlie, you're rolling 1.
Got it. How do I use this thing?
Just go over to the left where it says risk.
Okay, got it.
And then do that drop down, and then we're just doing lights for now. Just do like light 2.
Okay.
Or light 1 rather for you.
Yeah. I rolled a 6.
6. Okay, these are really good rolls. Your initial investigations are really strong. So We're going to take a 15-minute break so that I can look at all of the clues and come up with what you know. I will contact each of you individually on Discord to tell you what your character is in Silver City doing and what you learn during your investigation in Silver City. Okay? So be paying attention to Discord. I'll see you all in about 15. The Secret of Castronegro. The four of you were all in Silver City, New Mexico for your own reasons, which you know, and you can share those in the future at any time you wish. You don't know each other, but you do all have one thing in common. You have gotten on a bus that goes out to the tiny town of Castronegro, New Mexico. The four of you are sitting on the bus, and apart from the bus driver, who just goes by the name Gonzalez, you're the only people on the bus. You're sitting in your own seats. Up to this point, you haven't said a word to each other. And the one thing you're all going to be very aware of as you drive out in the midday desert sun. It's a vast, flat, empty landscape. The sun is high in the sky. You've been on the road for a good 20 or 30 minutes at this point, and you haven't seen another town, not even so much as a gas station. And for a good solid stretch of 10 to 15 minutes, you haven't even passed another vehicle. Castronegro is out in the middle of the desert, out in the middle of nowhere. The scene is yours. I'll let you know when you get to Castronegro.
Well, a young man from the front of the bus turns and looks back at the trio of you. Don't get many folks with lapels out this way.
I think when you turn and speak, Emmett just kind of gives a start, like he wasn't expecting the sound. And he's visibly sweating in the heat of this bus.
Pontius, seeing the startle in the sweat and everything, is like, hook, got it. All right, that's an opening, and is going to slide out from the bus seat and move, and then slide in the seat right in front of Emmett, and extend a hand and go, Pontius Whitehill of the Silver City White Hills. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Emmett Van Poel. It's good to meet you, sir.
Emmett Van Poel. Van Poel. Is that of the Hampton Van Poels, or are you of the South Loop Van Poels? You seem like a Chicago type. Or no. Maybe oil money. You've got a very geological look about you. Maybe an oil man. The Dallas Van Poels.
I hate to disappoint you. I'm from New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. Destination vacation spot for ski fans and newlyweds everywhere. I've got a couple of timeshares that I'm trying to get my fingers into out in Rhode Island and New Hampshire way. You seem like you have a bit of a business-oriented mind here. Is there anything that you found that on this trip that you've had a lack of? Anywhere from shoe lifts to tooth powder to anti-nausea medication, anything that you're missing at all. And then Pontius is going to grab a briefcase and open it up. White Hill Apothecary is one of the leading apothecaries that has grown within Silver City, and we're trying to branch out, trying to franchise, trying to find more places across the Southwest. So here, go ahead and take a sample. We've got this brand new acetaminophen that has been coming out, making the rage over here. knock your hangover clear out. Let me tell you, Mr. Van Pool, and let me tell you, you do look like the sort that likes to get a little bit into the wine bottles while at the evening. No offense myself, I'm a bit of a tequila man myself. It's just growing up in this desert heat. How about this? I'm going to go ahead and get you a White Hill brand acetaminophen. We're going to throw some shoe lifts in there. You're going to need those for your boots. And then how about a handkerchief for all that sweat that's pouring off your brow?
I think at this point, Emmett is just like desperately looking around at the other two for them to rescue him.
Irene has been like leaning back and just like capping her tooth with her fingernail like every second, like kind of like clicking off time by clicking her teeth. And is yeah, just very casually says, just don't buy the tooth powder.
Oh, what's with the tooth powder?
Well, it is a prototype product right now. It just burns the stains right off of your teeth. Just chemical erasure. The thing is that the enamel does find itself falling off in clumps, almost like a sheet ice coming off your teeth. But that's fine because White Hill brand dentures are going to make sure that you don't have to worry about cleaning your teeth anymore. Just pop them in some glass with some Alka-Seltzer, and you're perfectly fine.
If you want your soul to fall away like petty ordinary plaque, you can buy that tooth powder, but I would not recommend it if you value your eternal salvation.
Oh, and let me guess that you're some kind of leading expert on dental hygiene all the way out here in the desert.
Yes, I am. Dr.
Yes, you're
Irene Malari,
doctor. Gonna slide out from the
prominent
seat for a bit.
critic of that particular brand of tooth powder, as you may recall from the Washington Post editorial 3 weeks ago.
Slid out of the seat from Emmett and almost falls down from the bus hitting a bump, and then like catches himself and goes, Dr. Malari, yes, father has talked about you. I see that this side of the bus has no interest in the future of hygiene, and it's just going to adjust a very just like ragged, like pale tie, and just make his way to the back of the bus over by Charlie, and is just going to sit down across the aisle from
As
Charlie.
well, which will be funny because you're going to end up sitting in the seat that Charlie was sitting in. As you said, I see this side of the bus doesn't care, whatever your exact quote was. Charlie gets up and slides over to that side of the bus and will look at you and say, I never leave home without the essentials.
Okay,
That's very
well,
wise.
maybe not essentials. We got a regular Boy Scout on board, but maybe we can find something to pass the time for you. We have a series of crossword puzzles that we and just starts going.
I feel very strongly that in the future, Pontius Whitehill is going to bring his son, a Mogwai, home in a box. So let's, as you're, this is good. Gonzalez, the bus driver, is a heavyset man, just sweating like crazy, black comb over, and a sort of a shirt that is just maybe one or two buttons too many unbuttoned, and he kind of looks in the rearview mirror at the four of you, and he says, "You know, I have to admit, we don't get many people taking this trip. This route is not exactly a super popular one. What, do you all know each other? What brings you out to Castronegro?"
So the bus runs regularly, but not so many people ride it. Who
Well, I wouldn't say
who
regularly.
pays for this?
I wouldn't say regularly. So the way it goes is I drive out there Tuesday afternoon, like today. And then I come back and pick up anybody who wants to be picked up on Wednesday morning, and then I don't come back again until Tuesday. So whatever business you folks have in Castronegro, I hope you're able to get it done in 12 hours. Unless you want to spend a week there, of course. Nothing wrong with that, he says unconvincingly.
No sauna in Castronegro, from what I've heard. I've never ventured that far north. I had no need to. Speaking of which, new friend, Gonzalez, we know each other. Come on, old pals with
You're both from
with
Silver
one
City,
another.
yeah.
Yeah. Going to stand up and just kind of slide by, almost falling over into another seat. I'm going to lean down next to Gonzalez and go, "Listen, fella, did you?"
I don't have any money to invest in another real estate scheme, Pontius Whitehill.
Oh, no schemes, just fallen opportunities. That's the thing with investments. Eventually, not all of them are successful, and that's the risk. It's much like gambling. Just have you seen a pale fella with green eyes take the bus recently?
A pale fellow with green eyes?
Yeah. I had somebody that signed on a deal with some land out, and up in them there mountains, and I'm just trying to follow up on an investment. I got a payout. Somebody had my successful investments that
Let's roll dice. So the way this works is the rules are on the character keeper, such as they are. So you're going to roll one die if the task is within human capabilities. It certainly is. And then you're going to roll one die if it's within your operational expertise. Now, I'm going to say you get that second die because you've established that you know Gonzalez, right? And this is kind of your thing, right, that you're doing here is talking people up, especially people you know. And so if you wish, you could also add your insight die if you wanted to risk your sanity in order to get an answer. That would be a pretty extreme move here, but you could. So the way we'll handle the die roller is light dice will always be just the regular dice, and then a dark die will be the insight die. So for now, if you want, go ahead and roll 2 light dice, and let's see what you get. 2 ones. Now, we're looking for the highest result, and that's a 1. There's no failure in this, generally speaking, and so it's basically just going to be like a surface level information you're going to be able to get from him, which might be okay. If you want to have another go at it, you can add your insight die and roll all 3 of them again. But if your insight die, let's read the rule here. If your insight die goes, I think it's like higher than your current insight, which is at 1, then you increase your insight by 1. So just know that as well. And so, well, let me make sure I have that right. Hold on. Okay, remind myself of these very short rules. Oh no, you have to make an insight roll if your insight die is higher. So basically, if your insight die is the highest. So if you were to roll all 3 dice and your insight die comes up the highest of the 3, then you have to make an insight roll. And if your insight roll is higher than your insight, then your insight goes up. So for now, do you want to just stick with your 1s, or do you want to have another go?
Yeah, let's go ahead and let it ride with the 1s.
Okay. He says, "Well, buddy, you're going to have to do a lot better for a description than pale skin and green eyes. Have you been to Castronegro?" And that's all you got out of him.
Gonzalez, for a man that I was told was pretty unscrupulous, you have quite a bit of scruples. He's going to stand up and just go pout in the back of the bus.
How about an older fella with a neat white beard? Usually wears a white Panama hat. I believe he came out this way sometime recently. A friend of mine, I'm kind of looking for him.
And here, there's no die roll. He's like, maybe. I don't know, friend. That's not a lot of information to go on. But like I said, we don't have a lot of people take this trip, and so I would remember. Now, right now it's early October, so if the person you're talking about had taken the bus ride in the last couple of weeks, he would probably remember, but he doesn't seem to. So
Where would someone stay in Castronegro?
he's like, well, how about I give you all the grand tour? And in fact, you are just coming around a bend and you can see ahead of you the tiny town of Castronegro. I'm going to send you a link to the map of our town so that you all can follow along as I give you the tour. I'm going to make this editable so you all can add whatever you want. So on the map, you'll be coming up 13th Avenue, which is the street kind of on the south there of the map. And as you're kind of slowly pulling through the town, he'll point out basically the things you can see here on this map. He'll say, all right, I wouldn't say that Castronegro is a thriving metropolis. It's certainly not known for its vast commercial estate, but they do have a tobacco shop right there. There's a little library over here. And then the thing you'll notice before he even points it out is this in the center of the town square, this enormous church, like this really like enormous Gothic church. It actually stands out quite a bit from the rest of the town because the rest of the town is like made of like kind of Pueblo adobe style, like buildings. But this church looks like it's like a Gothic monstrosity, like airdropped in from, Spain or France or something, right? Made of big stones. He pulls around the corner and he's like, all right, well, this is the hotel. If any of you need a room, they've got really good rates, includes meals. The owner is a really, really nice fella. Down that way, right there at the corner, there's the Changeling. That's the only bar in town. So if you need to drown your troubles in drink, you have that option. Bear in mind, it's a private club. Prohibition and everything. So you didn't hear from me what goes on there. Thank you. All right. I'll be back tomorrow morning. The bus takes off at 8:30. If you're on it, great. If you're not, have fun with the locals. And you hear the as he opens the little bus door, little thing. And that's it.
Well, here we are, I guess.
Now, Mr. Van Poel, never mind me prying into other people's affairs. I would like to say I'm a quite unscrupulous young man myself. Nary a scruple attached to me or mine. But I couldn't help but overhear that you're also looking for someone here in Castronegro.
That's
Maybe
right.
you all could have this conversation out on the curb so I can go home.
Gonzalez. Okay, yeah, all right. Well, not like you have much going on today. Squeeze past.
He will get out to help you with your bags and let you go.
Also, the steamer trunk underneath.
He's like, right. This is a lot of luggage for one night, Pontius.
Product, Gonzalez. You never know when you're going to come across someone that needs something.
Mm-hmm.
Irina's definitely using Pontius's conversation to be the first one in line to check in at the hotel.
Mhm.
Fantastic. Let's talk about the hotel. Let me This is the Herrera Hotel, the only rent house in town, in fact. And it's an old adobe building, at least 100 years old, with 2 stories. The first story, as you walk in, you'll see is a sort of crude lounge There's a dining room, a little desk area. You can actually see and possibly smell a kitchen towards the back. And then there's also what must be a little hall where the proprietor's rooms are because he comes out of them. The rooms that you stay in are all upstairs. The owner, or at least the man running the place, is a tall, blonde man in his early 30s. He comes out and he seems very surprised. He's like, oh, hello, madam. Did you did you want a room?
Yes, I'm going to need a room. I'm intending to be here for the
Right,
evening.
right. Yes. I see the bus just came in. He's looking out the kind of
Yeah, you might
window.
have a little bit of a line coming in, and
Are those
I just
people all going to need rooms as well?
I would anticipate it based on what the bus driver was telling us.
Well. He takes out the guest register and blows the dust off the top and opens it up and says, "Well, I'm going to just fill this out here. Uh,
Hmm.
my name is Juan Herrera. I am the proprietor of the Herrera Hotel.
Oh, that lane is named after you, eh?
Oh yeah, well, we Herreras have been here for time immemorium. So,
But you're a bit of a minority in the population, aren't you?
what do you mean?
There's some other more prominent families
Oh,
here.
look, more customers. Hello, come in, come in. Right this way, right this way. Who's in next?
Oh, one final question. I'm going to need a ride out into the desert this evening. Do you have any concierge services, something that can help me
There are
make my,
no motor vehicles that I'm aware of in the town of Castronegro, madam.
oh dear. All right. Well, thank you, Juan. Gracias, as you say.
And he says, he kind of gives you your room key, and he says, before you go upstairs, I well, I, I guess we'll be having dinner tonight. You should definitely come back um for um flank steak,
Hmm,
grilled flank steak cooked with onions and peppers and served with homemade tortillas. Doesn't that sound delightful?
it does.
The meat is succulent and delicious, I assure you.
You're overselling it a bit, Juan.
Well, you're right. I probably am. There aren't many places to eat in town, so you're kind of stuck.
That's what I'm putting together.
But
Don't worry, Dr. Malari. I've brought some of my world famous White Hills agave infused hot sauce, so you'll be able to zhuzh it up a bit for your liking. Dragging a steamer
Don't
trunk
use
inside.
that hot sauce.
hello, madam. Do you need a room as well? He says to Charlie.
Who has been lingering behind Pontius and Emmett as they were maybe having a bit of conversation about like looking for people, trying desperately not to look like she's listening. So she'll kind of poke around one of them and say, yes, I would love a room.
Splendid. Just fill out your name here on the register. And do you have any valuables you'd like to store in the safe?
Uh, uh, no, I'll keep my valuables with me. I travel light.
Right. By your accent, it seems like you're not from around here.
That's right. I'm from Boston.
Boston, my goodness. That's like a whole world away, isn't it?
Yes, it was quite a journey.
I One has to wonder what brings you all the way out here to the middle of the desert in New Mexico. But I shouldn't pry. Hello, sir, to you, Emmett. Do you need a room as well, sir?
Please. Also, I wonder if I could ask. I'm looking for an acquaintance of mine, Dr. William Godfrey. Is he staying here by any chance?
Go ahead and make the die roll with one die. What'd you get?
4.
Godfrey. Well, I must confess, sir, we have had something of a paucity of customers, guests, I should say, in recent months. Um, no, no, I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know that person. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's quite all right. I wasn't sure he'd been through here yet or not, but in any case, I will take a room.
Goodness, the Grand Central Station in here this week, isn't it? Fantastic. Fill out the register, please. And you, sir, I should warn you, there is no soliciting on the property.
Oh, that's a shame too. I was just gonna let you know that I didn't need a room whatsoever. I was just gonna set up shop right here in the lobby. I don't need much sleep, not with our White Hill Open Eye sleep aid, which keeps you awake all throughout the day and everything. But no solicitation. I reckon I'll take a room then.
Ah, very good. And he pushes the registry to you, and yeah. Once
Uh,
everyone's got their keys, what do you all do?
Say, Dr. Poole, Van Poole, pardon me. Can't leave the van off there. It's very important. But I was just saying, if you're looking for somebody of some sorts, I have some door to doors that I have to go. Some routine customers that I have to that have been. They typically come to me in Silver City, but I promise, they couldn't make it here, so I was just going to stop off and drop some products off of their house. But if need be, we can rent a couple of burros and head out into the mountains and see if we can find this Dr. Godfrey sort of you. And I can also find my mystery investment partner as well.
I'm sure I don't know what he would be doing out in the desert.
Oh, all manners of folk go out into the desert, especially these days. Criminals, vagabonds, vagrants, murderers, solicitors on the run, things of that nature.
Well,
The
Dr.
desert is a
Godfrey is none
wide,
of those
expansive
things.
place. We find that we can truly be ourselves out here, us desert folk. No need to fit the tight constraints of polite society, and is going to look pointedly at Charlie, with hearing the mention of Boston.
Well, let's go around the table and see what everyone is interested in doing next. Dr. Malari, maybe we might see you in your room or not, but in any case, what's your next move here? I mean,
I think it depends on what time of day it is.
dinner's
There's
in a
the
couple hours.
Yeah. I think my next move might just be to yeah, poke around. Like my goal is I need to get out into the desert this evening. So maybe even with the burrow conversation, like I'm kind of like edging into that.
Everyone's really putting a lot of stock in these burrows. But not sure you're going to necessarily find a burrow.
But I'm suggesting we wait until maybe the sun goes down, so it's a little cooler. It's hot out here in the desert. I know White Hill's used to it, but the rest of us are probably not. So
There are
I'm probably
certainly sweat
nudging
stains.
towards that. Yeah.
Emmett Van Poole, what's your first move here?
Well, knowing Dr. Godfrey, I think the library would be a logical place to go.
Yeah, there's library. It is open.
Check.
Charlie, what do you think?
I think that Charlie would have hung back as everyone was going to their rooms and initially asked like when or how often they host services in the chapel.
Oh, so you want to go to the chapel then?
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's
So
just
yeah,
right across the
Charlie is.
street. So
Yeah.
sounds good. Pontius?
Yeah, Pontius is going to, seeing that there's a discussion about maybe grabbing some burrows, even though Pontius does not know if there's even an option for that whatsoever, is going to go darken the doorstep of that frequent customer, quote unquote, and is going to see if he can find Philip's household, the Gila Pereira family household. If there's any like connotation of a business that's owned by them or something. I know there's a street that's named after them, so that might be a good place to look.
Yeah, yeah. Indeed, it might. Very good. That sounds like a good move. Let me think about the scenes. Let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back and we'll get some scenes going. Let's pick up with Charlie in the chapel.
Sure thing.
So, I gotta find my notes real quick. It's right across the street. And actually, I think I have a map of the chapel. I do indeed. For now, I'm just going to paste it in the chat, but you can add it to the map if you want to, Bran.
Okay.
So there's essentially the churchyard, which has a graveyard. There's the church itself, which is a sort of classic, like central, like kind of, like sept area with 2 transepts on either side. Also, on the side closest to you as you cross the street, there's a freestanding tower. That's not pictured on the map you have there, but it's a weird freestanding tower with 6 sides, like a hexagon stone tower. And the tower, you'll notice straight away, is made of a dark, glistening black stone, whereas the rest of the church is kind of like a regular, kind of like granite, kind of structure. What do you do, Charlie, as you cross the street?
I think I give this freestanding tower a pretty wide berth for now.
Sure.
Um, but I think it probably has my attention as I'm making my way there. And maybe stop on the steps of the chapel to like give it one more look before being like, that's for later.
Yeah.
And I will head inside, just inside the chapel proper.
Yeah, that's great. As you step inside, so the chapel, it looks for all the world like an old Spanish Roman Catholic church. It's quite empty right now. You don't see anyone inside the kind of main area. It's quite eerie and silent, I would say. And based off the dust that you glance on the pews, which is quite thick, it seems like it doesn't get a lot of use. What do you do?
And I don't see anyone around at all, not like no one even like working or anything like that.
Make a 1 die roll.
Okay.
Remind me what your occupation is back home.
I'm a shoemaker.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead and make a 1 die roll.
Okay, yeah, that is fair. That's a 3.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I think you'll overhear very quietly on the other side of the altar, which is directly across the way. You'll hear someone down below, like they're on their hands and knees, sort of whistling a little tune. What do you do?
Amazing. I will sort of softly, so as not to be jarring, but loud enough to catch someone's attention, say, excuse me, I don't mean to startle you or anything.
And you'll hear no worries. He gets up and he kind of dusts off his knees. It is a priest, kind of a middle-aged, older priest, gray hair. As he approaches, you are immediately struck by his incredibly vivid green eyes. Like they're so vivid that they stand out in his wrinkled face because they look so vibrant, whereas the rest of him looks weathered by age, right? He says,
Mm-hmm.
I'm Father Alonso Villela Pereira. And you are?
Uh, I am Charlie, Charlie Sullivan.
Ah, well, it's very nice to meet you, Charlie Sullivan. And he goes to shake your hand. Would you like to give your confession, or?
Oh, perhaps there'll be time for that later. Uh, you said that you were Father Alonso?
Yes, yes, Father Alonso Villela Pereira. Alonso is fine if you prefer not to stand on formalities.
Of course. Sorry, I don't talk to a lot of priests, but I was actually looking for you.
Oh, you were?
Uh, yes. Well, I'm looking for someone who I think knows you.
Oh, say more.
I'm going to, well, let me double check something actually.
Yeah.
Uh, yes, okay. I am going to produce an envelope uh, that is addressed to him and
Oh,
point to the, or rather, that he is the return address. And I'll point to the name that it's addressed to, David Lane, and ask if he has heard from David recently.
make a two-die roll.
Five.
Nice. That's the best roll you can get. He sees that. He sees the package. He recognizes it because he's the return address, right?
Yes, yeah.
And he says, "Ah, um." He kind of looks around and says, "Let's let's go sit in the front pew, the one furthest away from the door. You'll note." And he
Hmm.
kind of goes up there. We'll come back with you in a minute. So, Irene, Dr. Molari, remind me what you're doing?
I'm killing time. Is the churchyard a graveyard by
It
any
is.
chance?
Yeah.
So I think I want to go just kind of like scope out years on tombstones and that type of thing. I've
Ah,
I've heard about these infants that have gone missing, and I'm kind of curious to sort of like get a sense of, yeah, the death patterns and records and how they're memorializing or not memorializing
missing infants is
these
probably new
infants.
information at the table. The other characters may not know about that. But I love it. Um, it's a good move. Make a two dice roll is fine, since you're
Okay.
using kind of prior information to help you out.
60.
Oh, that's very interesting. You're going to notice something very particular about these tombstones. There seems to be no rhyme or reason to the people who might be buried here in terms of like, oh, this is our family plot.
Mm.
You have one person, Janet Smith, buried next to Roger Brown, buried next
Mm.
to Mark Smith, and a couple of the tombstones have no writing on them at all. They're just blank.
Hmm.
And a couple more just have like the equivalent of like res ipsum loquitur, like it's just random words and letters engraved on it, as if you were meant to look at the graveyard from a distance and just see tombstones, but not actually investigate
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
tombstones. It's false.
Hmm.
And you got a six, right?
Yes, I did.
Hmm. As this dawning realization comes upon you that like they're clearly this is fake,
Yeah.
you hear whispering. And if you respond to it, you see that, you turn to see that tower, that weird bell tower.
Yeah.
And you can see that at the very top of it, there's little like slit windows. And
Uh-huh.
you can't make out the details because it's too high, but you can see that there's someone standing in that top part of the tower. You can see the shadow or shape of a person.
Yeah.
I want you to make an insight roll right now.
Yeah. Can I add some color to
Please do.
what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Irene has kind of her divining method is these marked teeth that she
Oh.
rolls like dice as a sort of like to see what it says. So I think that she's saying like tell me more, yeah, something along
Well,
those
the insight
lines.
is you're just rolling because of you just roll it because there's like weird stuff going on, but I do like the
Yeah.
idea of your teeth helping you delve into the madness. Just roll a single dark die for the die roller.
Single. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, an insight roll is always one dark.
Another 6. This has been
So that's higher than your current insight of one.
it is.
So your insight goes up to 2,
Okay.
which means you are getting ever so closer to cracking. How are you feeling right now? What are you experiencing? As you hear this strange voice, you see this very weird tower that Charlie wisely gave a wide berth to.
Um Yeah, I think I'm like rolling the teeth over and over again, and it's almost becoming like an unconscious thing. Like there's no signal, like it's just like I'm looking at the tower and I'm just like rolling these teeth over and over again on the top of maybe some uh tomb kind of thing.
I'd
And
like
but
to
just
suggest
not
that
paying any attention to the results at
I'd
all.
like to suggest as they land on the stone, the clattering sounds like doctor.
Ooh. Yeah.
Emmett Van Poel, where'd you go?
I was going to the library.
Oh, the library, that's right. Let's talk about the Castronegro Library. The Castronegro Library is one of the few wooden buildings in town. It's actually fairly modern, probably no more than 20 years old. You might even see a little plaque that shows that it was a gift made possible by a grant from Andrew Carnegie. When you go inside, I assume you go inside, you'll see that the ground floor, there's a desk, there's a kind of index that you can go look up books. You see along the periphery a number of reading rooms. There's also stacks of bookshelves. And you can see directly up into the second floor. The stairs will go up to it. It's just all books up there. And there is someone behind the desk. A let's find who's this person. An old man sitting behind the desk. He is like carefully, like kind of, carefully, like kind of cleaning, like cleaning, not cleaning. That's not the right word. Like he's appears to be like doing some kind of like restorative work on a book. You know, he's like kind of he's got a little tool and he's kind of like patching something up. On the cover with like some kind of liquid. And he kind of looks up at you, and he says, "Oh, hello.
Hello. I just
Do you
thought
need a book?"
perhaps I was actually looking for an acquaintance of mine who may have been passed here. Uh, Professor Professor Godfrey. He was, I believe he may have been in town not too long ago, and I'm sure if there's a library in town, he would have stopped by here. I wonder if you might have seen him.
Make
Oh, I'm so rude. My name is Ethan Van Poel. I'm just in town looking for my friend.
Make a make a 1 die roll.
5.
5, nice. First thing, as you get closer to introduce yourself, you'll notice that this old man, much like the priest as I described earlier, has those vivid, vivid green eyes that seem almost like they don't even belong in his body because they're not clouded by cataracts, they're not rheumy, they are bright and green, set inside a wrinkled face. And he continues on. Duh. Godfrey, you said the name was?
Yes, Dr. William Godfrey.
What was Dr. Godfrey's area of expertise?
He's a professor of psychology.
Psychology. Well, we don't have many texts related to psychology here. If you want to know about the history of the Castronegro area before the town was settled, the various Indian tribes, some of the strange monolithic structures in the area, we can help you with that. But
those are also his areas of interest for Professor Godfrey.
oh,
I wonder if perhaps he came by here and he had in his possession this book. Would it maybe have come from this library? And I'll bring out the copy of Nameless Cults.
Nameless Cults. He sees the book, and he actually draws back a little, and he says, "No, he didn't get that book here. He got that book from the tomb."
Oh,
Speaking of Pontius Whitehill, there seems to be one business open on Vallela Pereira Street. A weird little occult shop called the Tomb. What do you do?
Going to noisily make my way up the front steps, just like a and then just like a knocking dust off of my boots and everything, and just going to adjust, and then a friendly shave and a haircut.
Yeah, you could just go in.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, he's gonna prepare to knock on the door, and then he's gonna look at the business hours and go, "Oh," just walk on in.
When you walk in, you see that the space is just cluttered with strange artifacts. In the window, alongside a statue of a Balinese temple guardian demon, is a sign which states in Gothic hand lettering, "The Tomb, Proprietor Filippo Diaz." And it's odd that a store like this should exist in this tiny town that probably only has a few hundred people in it and is out in the middle of fucking nowhere. But nevertheless, you get the attention of Mr. Diaz, who comes, who actually he just kind of rises up almost like Nosferatu style, not that you know what that is, and and from behind, from down below, like he was looking at something down below, and he says, "Oh, a customer. How absolutely splendid."
Absolutely. A fellow weary traveler on the road of commerce. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. The name is Pontius Whitehall. I'm of the Silver City Whitehalls. Just getting familiar with your fair town here.
Interesting. Well, Pontius Whitehill, can I assist you with excursions into the realms beyond? Would you like some assistance looking through the veil that separates one world from another? Perhaps you would like to call upon your ancestors and learn the secret of your lineage.
Oh, I think I've got the secret of my lineage pretty tamped down, pretty tight. A lot of law, folks, if you understand. My branch of the family isn't
He's
too
very
much mine.
tall. He comes around the counter and he seems like he's getting taller. Like he looms over you practically, and he's wearing this like black suit. He looks like a fucking undertaker. And he's glaring at you with his giant saucer green eyes.
I see you don't need any Whitehall shoe lifts. Well, you mentioned something about excursions. Excursions is actually quite interesting. I know there's some folks here that are trying to make a journey out to the desert, and so yeah, I think an excursion would sound great. I'm looking for somebody myself. A family named after the street right outside.
Why would you want to go to the desert when there are plenty of mysteries to explore right here?
Oh well, uh, no tour guide around this part, so I didn't know there were mysteries around here. But I guess that's what you're here for.
Right here. For example, and he goes to a shelf and he pulls off some little gold statuette, and he says, "See there, this was recovered from a tomb in farthest Egypt. Isn't that fascinating?
That is.
Here, touch it. Touching it is like having a direct connection to the ancient world."
I've been a fair share of stores here, Cowpoke, so I'm just gonna stop you right there. If I touch it, I don't have to buy it now, do I?
Oh, no. No.
Well, if this helps me in my own little excursion, I don't see what the harm is. I'm just going ahead and put a little finger on the thing.
Make an insight roll.
Oh, God.
Roll single dark die.
Single dark die. 5.
Your insight goes up to 2.
Okay.
As you touch it, he says, "Oh, yes, you can feel it, can't you? You can feel the ancient power coursing through your veins. I can see the fine hairs on your upper forearm standing up in response to this wonderful power."
Okay. And like holding the finger and like kind of, yeah, I feel the hum.
Would you
Bit of
like
a
to
vibe.
purchase this fantastic tchotchke? Not that I need your business. I do fantastic mail order. But
Got
you
the
know,
Etsy store. It's gonna remove the finger and I'm gonna go, how about this, new friend? We can work out
how
a
did it
bit of
make
a
you
deal.
feel to touch it?
I think it made Pontius very self-conscious. Typically, Pontius is not very self-conscious of like his own like presence and everything. I think it just made him very self-aware of his body and like the where it ends and other things begin and everything.
Charlie, Father Valera Pereira sits down with you in the front pew, and he says, "Yes, yes. Are you a friend or relation of David's?"
Yes.
Right. Well, I I have been in contact with him. I was in contact with him. He's a very interesting and inquisitive young man. We actually had a bit of a friendship while he was here. He stayed here in town for well, for for several weeks. I I must admit, I sort of thought it was strange that anybody would want to spend so much time here. Um, he had to go back to Silver City though, and I promised to continue looking into some things for him. I mailed my findings to him. That's the envelope that I used.
Ah, I see. When I found the envelope, that was missing, so I assume that it's with David. Um,
Has
how
something
long?
happened? Has something happened to David?
Well, I'm not entirely sure. Um, at best, he's missing,
Oh,
and I haven't thought about at worst.
oh my word! That's oh, that's horrible. Um, what a trouble that you've had to come all this way just to find him. And you're certain you asked around at everyone who might have known him in Silver City?
Well, I am pretty sure, but I had hoped that maybe if I could find you, that maybe you would know more, kind of going off the leads that I have here. I didn't expect to find him here, but I was hoping you might be able to point me in a direction or towards a stone I hadn't turned over yet.
Well, the only thing I can tell you is what he asked me to look into while he was here, and I did. And the information that I sent him, he was very interested in genealogical records here in Castronegro. I collected what I could. You have to understand that, well, this town is let's just say the family tree is rather straight and narrow and tall.
And Charlie tries very hard to mask a look of surprise and says, "That doesn't surprise me." Or rather, David's interest in it doesn't surprise me. I knew a bit about what he was interested in studying, and um, well, that's an interesting take, I suppose.
Well, the only other thing I can tell you is when he was here, he spent quite a lot of time up at the Casa de Diaz. That's that big mansion outside of town
Oh,
to the west.
okay. Well, uh, that's very helpful. And do you know how he got back and forth?
Oh, it's within walking distance. Everything is within walking
Oh,
distance here. We
okay.
don't really have cows or cars or burros.
Well, yeah, cows probably wouldn't do super well out here.
I don't know why I said cows. How strange of me.
Well,
Have you
we are having
have you had dinner
steak.
at the hotel yet?
Well, that's interesting. You mentioned the cow, and the hotel owner did mention flank steak for dinner, but now we've had the conversation about the cows.
Oh, uh, there's nothing with the cows.
Well, because there are no cows.
Well, there are there are ranches in the area.
And you have the bus, of course, that I'm sure can be utilized. I hear not many people come out often, so
Yes. Well, I wish I could be more help to you.
you've been a real blessing. A blessing?
Uh, yes. Very good. I love religious humor. Have
Um,
you seen our bell tower?
Oh, is that um just outside?
Yes, curious thing. It actually predates everything in Castronegro. They say it was here when the conquistadors landed.
Interesting. Uh, well, I have seen it. It's hard to miss. Um, but I have not, seen it.
Well, the door on the ground floor is open. Feel free to go up and have a look if you wish. I have to get back to my clerical duties. That was
Of
also
course.
religious humor.
Oh,
Clerical,
I get it.
clerical, yeah.
Yeah.
And he gets up and leaves you.
Yeah.
And this might
Um,
be, maybe you and Irene come upon each other at this point, since you're both in the
on
roughly the same vicinity.
on my way out of
Mhm.
the chapel, I wonder, um, there's been mention of a lot of dust. Are the floors themselves very dusty as well?
Oh, very good insight. Um, you're a shoemaker, right?
Yes, I am.
Make a 2 die roll. You never know what you can see in the
Alrighty.
footprints.
Yeah. Okay, a 4.
I'll give you a good info. As you walk out, you do see footprints on the dust in the front steps that do not seem to enter the church. They get to the threshold and go no further, but these boot prints have a very distinct cross pattern.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I'd like to put you and Irene together at this point, with
Yes,
Irene
yeah.
in a fugue state or whatever the hell's going on with her.
Yeah, Charlie will exit the chapel, kind of make a note of that and uh probably just see Irene in the courtyard and make her way over. Um, Dr. Malari, are you busy?
And I think for like a second or two, like she continues just staring at the top of the tower and like casting these teeth. And then yeah, kind of snaps to and looks over at you.
I think you rolling a bunch of teeth is fundamentally bizarre. Charlie, I'd like for you to make an insight roll.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. A 5.
Charlie, your insight goes up
Uh,
to 2. How does this make you feel?
um, Definitely unsettled. I think that Charlie is concerned, especially not knowing Dr. Malari, and is concerned maybe that these are like teeth that were found in the courtyard, and maybe even goes to say, I think you should come away from there.
And I think I do gather up the teeth, and they're whispering doctor as we establish. I don't know if Charlie can hear that, but Irene certainly can, and she puts them back in this like little glass jar and seals, and it's like doc, and we can't hear them whisper anymore.
I like the idea that maybe Charlie could hear it, but it was more distorted, so they weren't picking up
Oh,
on the
Yeah, I
word
imagine it's just like
doctor.
noise to you, right? But Irene
Yeah,
hears doctor. Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
Charlie, was it?
yes, yes, Charlie.
There's something very unusual about this churchyard.
Tell me about it.
Look at these tombstones based on the names that you've heard bandied about, that you see on the street signs. Do you know anything? Notice anything off?
Ah, uh, a lot of Smiths and Browns and things of that name. Yes. That is different, even from the people that we've met. It doesn't seem like they're burying locals here.
That's my vibe as well.
Well, that's concerning, given that we are not locals here.
I
That feels
really
like a good cut. I'm going to go to Emmett Van Pool. Emmett, the librarian, he explains to you that yes, I think I remember him now. Um, he spent a bit of time upstairs in the stacks. I can show you what generally he was looking into based off his reading.
That might be very helpful.
He'll,
You mentioned the tomb?
oh, yes. The tomb. Little occult shop across the way over on Villela
Oh,
Pereira Street, run by Filippo Diaz, a cousin of mine, actually.
well, perhaps after you've showed me upstairs, I will stop by there.
Yes, perhaps. So he kind of shows you the stack of, where Dr. Godfrey was doing a lot of his research. And indeed, it's like history books, Native American folklore and myth, that kind of thing. Right? He says,
You haven't,
I'm open for another hour or so before I head over to the hotel for dinner.
do you happen to know, was there anything in particular he was asking about?
No. I just pointed him in the direction, and here we are.
Oh, so there's dinner at the hotel. I
Oh, yes. Uh, flank steak
mm,
cooked on a
yes, the
on a griddle.
proprietor did mention it now, I think.
Delicious, absolutely delicious.
I am given to understand that's kind of the only option around here.
Oh, well, we're a small little town, I fear. I mean, I suppose you could probably find something at the Changeling if you wish to let that doorstep darken your countenance.
I'm not a drinker myself, so I,
Hmm. Well, I'll leave you to it. Perhaps I'll see you at the hotel.
that will be pleasant. I will look out for you, sir.
So you have some options here. You can stay and do some research, or you can head over to the bookshop if you want to do that.
I think I think I would like to stay and maybe just, I mean, I'm imagining it might be possible to, it might not be impossible to see books that have been handled recently, given the dust and the desert atmosphere.
Yeah, we'll come back to this in a minute. I'm just kind of putting everybody in time and space. We check in once with Pontius, and then we'll have a good. That'll be the end of our session. Pontius, you're still in the occult shop, right? Having touched this weird little object, and he says, "Would you like to look around while you're here, Mr. Whitehill? There are so many wonders to see."
Who are you?
Huh? I'm Filippo de Diaz.
All
Or
right.
just Diaz, I suppose. We dropped the duh about 100 years ago.
Okay. I'll buy your little your shock and doohickey here. If you can go ahead and point me in the right direction of the well, I was hoping that it might be you, but maybe a shared namesake of yours, Mr. Philip Vilhila Pereira.
Leila Pereira. You cannot walk 10 feet without tripping over a Diaz or a Leila Pereira in this town. There's plenty of time for him. How about this? Look at this. Oh. And he reaches for a book on a shelf. Now, isn't this something? This is a book of treasured recipes from the area. I think you'd enjoy looking through it.
I'm particularly fine with my current state of like chili and coffee recipes. I'm well and covered. Trust me, the Whitehall name has plenty of recipes behind it. I'm just looking for a way to look for somebody. Okay, so maybe if you can point me to a magic magnifying glass, or maybe you have a spectral operator's booth here that can get me in touch with an operator that can get me in touch with somebody that I'm looking for. That would be great and dandy. But if not, then I understand, and I'll just go ahead and make my way on to another doorstep to darken, and I'll leave you to your knickknacks and your hobnobs and your tchotchkes.
Very well. You can't blame me for trying to make a sale.
You got a sale partner. I already told you I'm going to buy this little
Well, that's
doohickey that
not for
makes.
sale.
Then why did you let me touch it, friend?
He puts it gingerly back on the shelf. The
Okay.
man you're looking for runs the tobacco shop across the way.
Honestly, thank you. I've been trying to ask for this feller, and the feller at the hotel was no help. All the new travelers in town hadn't seen him. Gonzalez was no help.
As you're having this conversation, you hear in the back of the shop behind, I mean, it's like an antique store, like there's just shit piled everywhere, you know, like how they are. And you'd have to turn a couple of corners to see where it's coming from, but you hear in the back of the shop, "Ah!" Oh, don't worry about that. That's nothing. "Ah! Ah!"
Okay, all right. I've been around plenty of rings around the rosy to understand there's something strange going on here. And I think, as a qualified business person as myself, I would be remiss to have somebody that's injured, potential sale go out the window. Sir and/or madam or child, I've got a Whitehall medical kit I can provide for you if you're injured. And I'm going to try to make my way past Diego to go towards the noise.
You turn around there's a giant like foo dog statue, and you go around another corner past some, big jade Buddha or some such thing, and round one more corner in an unlit little narrow strip, you hear and then staring out at you from the blackness, a pair of large green eyes. And we will end our session there for today. We're a little over time, but we could do a quick stars and wishes before we dive back in tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll do some quick stars. Great ASMR, weird noises. This is another quality Jason Cordova like weird noises canon that I'm glad I got to experience. I love that Emmett is the sensible, practical one of us, and Charlie is the more like determined and like focused and like Mike said, sleuth or sleuth. Um, Irene is a delightful weirdo, and can't wait to see how that teeth casting helps us out in the end. Yeah, yeah. This is eerie. It's very eerie. Weird desert town. So yeah, no, this is just very fun. Glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, I did enjoy the proprietor of the tomb in particular is very Lovecraftian. Um, he's he's a lot of fun. Yeah, we got a good cast of characters. I'm kind of interested to see some. Like, I really enjoyed the White Hill being so overbearing toward Emmett. That was a lot of fun to play off of. And yeah, I'm looking forward to some more interaction with the other two. I'm sure we'll get into that tomorrow. And yeah, what's in the back room of the tomb? Or who? Is it a who or is it a what?
Third echo of mouth sounds was pretty good. I love I love a scenario that starts with they meet on a bus. It's a classic and I enjoy it. Reminded me of Convergence, and that's one of my other stars. Is it's actually interesting to this is my first experience with this module. The influences that this has on public access are very interesting. There's all these little things where I'm like, oh, I see this, I see this. So that's been very fun. The group is very fun. Yeah, it's always interesting in these like short moments of starting to get like with folks like this, like getting really strong characters and concepts of where that is.
Well, and I very much modeled when I did like my light rewrite of it anyway. I modeled Devilwood from Brindlewood Bay on Castronegro, right?
All right.
Which is technically in Decoya County. So yeah, they're
and then Wish is yeah, I just want to see how much these teeth are not going to help us, and just how weird things get. Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm excited about this.
I will kick things off again, echoing mouth sounds. Um, it was really good because, especially at first, I didn't realize what was happening, and I thought my headphones were like starting to crackle or something. I was like, "What is going on?" Oh no! And then I was like, "Oh no, this is even better." Yeah, Pontius is such an overbearing presence, and I can't wait for Charlie to hate it. But in a way that, eventually having to maybe work together or something, I think that'll be a fun dynamic for that character. Um, I'm also excited about teeth casting. I just love bone casting, so any version of that just popping up randomly is super fun. Um, yeah, and I love the academic going kind of straight to the library. It makes sense, but also I very often play characters who just want to do the library trip, so it's nice to like see someone else doing it. And Wish is I'm excited for more interactions between our characters. Yeah. And for it to get really fucking weird.
hmm Yeah, this is great. I've run this so many times. The Secret of Castronegro is like a old glove, right? Like it just I get right in there and I know how to do it and I know what to expect. But what's really fun is what the characters bring to it. And I actually really enjoyed as a star. I just like the kind of like pretty unique character concepts. Even like me, who's run this thing so many times, particularly Irene and the huckster. Those were both like very different like angles to take on this, right? Um, I'm really interested to like as a wish, I'm interested to learn more about the relationship between Charlie and David. Like I'm curious like what's going on there because I feel like there's something going on that hasn't been spoken aloud yet and so I'd like to know what that is. Um yeah, and just generally, I'm kind of just yeah, I agree with like getting you all together a little bit more, but I think it was good to go out and kind of like get kind of feel around. You don't have any reason to work together yet, apart from the fact that you're all just kind of you're on this weird road trip together, on a bus. But maybe you will start to kind of like put the pieces together for yourselves, and that's really great. And also, I'm really excited. So yeah, I'm just excited to see more of that, obviously, and then also, I do hope you all go have fajitas at the Herrera Hotel. I think that'd be terrific. And I could go for fajitas right now, so that might be what I go do. And yeah, I think that's all I got. So I will see you all tomorrow at the same time, or well, the normal start time that we planned on, for part two of the Secret of Castronegro. So see you then.